Am I the antagonist for getting upset and hurt at my boyfriend for asking me to? Give a little more after his parents complained that I'm a freeloader whenever I come over their home? I have been dating my boyfriend for approximately a year, and he currently lives with his parents. Both of us are in our early 30s. While it can be uncomfortable for me to date someone who still lives at home, financially it makes sense for him since he can save a lot of money in today's market. Recently, I've been going to his parents' house around dinner time and spending the night there about 2 to 3 times a week. During these visits, my boyfriend's mother cooks dinner for everyone. She can be a bit cranky and irritable, so we try to give her some space in the kitchen. However, whenever she asks for my help, I gladly assist her. I also do various tasks around the house, such as sweeping and cleaning the floors, cleaning the kitchen, washing the dishes after dinner, buying things outside the home that she needs or asks for, and picking up her vegetable fruit delivery from the local farm when she's out of town. During the Thanksgiving weekend, my boyfriend asked his parents if I could sleep over on Saturday night. Unfortunately, they didn't want me to spend the night, which made me feel sad. However, I went home and my boyfriend slept over at my place instead. Later that night, after I had left and before my boyfriend came over, his parents got into a heated argument about the situation. His mother expressed that she feels like I freeload because I only show up for dinner and don't offer to help or prepare the food with her. His father also mentioned that he doesn't like having me around because he doesn't feel comfortable. My boyfriend told me that he defended me during this argument with his parents. He listed off instances where I helped his mother and gave examples of how I always clean up the kitchen and do everything she asks of me. Nevertheless, it hurt my feelings when my boyfriend suggested that I should give a little bit more and help out more just so she shuts up about it. I find this insulting because I believe I have done nothing wrong. So I'm wondering if I am being too sensitive for feeling insulted by their expectation for me to change. You have been helping out in various ways, such as cleaning and running errands, and have been respectful towards your boyfriend's mother when she asks for assistance. It is understandable that you would feel insulted when your boyfriend suggests that you need to change and do more, especially when you believe you have done nothing wrong. However, it may be worth considering the feelings and perspective of your boyfriend's parents. It appears that they feel like you are freeloading and not offering to help or engage with them while you are there. Even though you believe you have been helpful, they may have different expectations or may not feel that your efforts are sufficient. It might be worth discussing this with them directly, or finding a way to improve the communication and relationship dynamic. Ultimately, it is important to have open and honest conversations with your boyfriend and his parents to address their concerns and expectations, while also expressing your own feelings. Am I the antagonist for refusing to take my toddler to his paternal great-grandparents' house for Christmas? So, for some background, I, 29-year-old female, used to live 2 hours away from my hometown with my ex-partner. Our relationship became financially abusive after he convinced me to become a stay-at-home mom when our son, 16 months old, was born. When I caught him cheating in March, which had been going on since the beginning of my pregnancy, I told him I no longer wanted to be with him and that I absolutely needed to get a job and start making my own money. I asked if we could remain roommates and if I could find a job with opposite hours from him. However, he said no, stating that if I didn't want to be with him, then I should leave. I asked if I could have some time to get back on my feet first, but again, he said no. So I had no choice but to move back and stay with my family. Since I moved, he sees our son around every 4-6 weeks for a couple of hours and sends $200 bi-weekly for child support. It's important to note that my ex is not listed on our son's birth certificate and has no custody rights. Usually when he visits, I meet him much closer to his place. We have met halfway once, and he has met closer to me twice. I've taken my son to his great-grandparents' house once since moving. However, it's a 3+ hour journey, and the traffic is always terrible due to ongoing construction. It turned into a disaster as his grandma said she was tired and wanted us to leave within 2 hours. Now on to the current situation. My ex asked me to bring our son to his grandparents' house on December 23rd for Christmas. I firmly told him that it's not possible, as the traffic is already horrendous on a normal weekend. I didn't want to imagine how it would be on the Saturday before Christmas. Additionally, I didn't want to have to endure a 4-hour car trip with my active toddler, who would likely cry and scream. I also mentioned to him that December 23rd is the day of my parents' annual party, which they were well aware of. Instead, I offered alternative solutions. I told him that if he wanted me to bring our son to his grandparents' house, it would have to be after Christmas. Alternatively, I suggested meeting them at my ex's apartment sometime before Christmas, or they could all come to my parents' house on the 23rd, either before or during the party. However, he wasn't pleased with any of these ideas. He complained that his apartment is too small for everyone, even though my much larger family used to visit us there. He then claimed that his grandma's boyfriend can't ride in a car due to a heart condition, but he couldn't provide any details about the condition, even though the boyfriend used to come to our apartment when I lived with my ex. Now he's demanding that I bring our son next weekend, but I'm already scheduled to work and, quite frankly, I don't want to for all the reasons I mentioned earlier. His mom and grandma are angry at me. My ex claims that his grandma is distraught and crying, although she often behaves this way, and that his mom has bought presents for our son. They're all saying that I'm a cruel and heartless person. However, I genuinely believe that I was doing what's best for my son, and I think it's about time they come to visit us for once. It's frustrating that everyone is now saying these things about me and acting as if I've committed a crime. Was I in the wrong here? You are not obligated to make a long and potentially difficult journey with your active toddler just because your ex wants you to. You have suggested alternatives, such as meeting at your ex's apartment or having them come to your parents' party, which are reasonable compromises. It seems like your ex and his family are being unreasonable and trying to guilt trip you into doing something you are not comfortable with. You're making decisions based on what you believe is best for your son, and that should be your primary concern. Am I the antagonist for telling my best friend that she can't care for her child? I, a 31-year-old woman, have been friends with Jill, who is 26 years old, for a number of years now. We have been through a lot together, and our friendship has remained strong. Jill and her husband had a child 3 years ago, and I love them very much. I would do anything for them. Jill has expressed her desire for another baby and is currently trying to conceive. Unfortunately, Jill and her husband are facing significant financial struggles. Every month they ask people for money to cover rent and other bills, but then they often spend money on takeout or indulge in their habits when they have some extra money. I have helped them several times because I don't want to see them evicted. About 6 months ago, I received an inheritance when my great-aunt passed away. Although it wasn't much, it was enough to start a retirement fund and save for an upcoming vacation with my husband. Jill asked me if I could help her, and I ended up giving her a relatively large sum of money, more than just a couple $100s, but not an excessive amount, so she could keep up with bills for a couple of months. However, she ended up spending all of it and saving none. Yesterday, Jill called and asked for help with groceries. I declined to give her more money, but I offered to buy her groceries instead. Jill complained, saying that I should help her family because I'm not facing the same financial struggles as she and her child are. I became angry and said, "And you want another one when you can't even take care of the one you have without relying on handouts from everyone?" Jill got upset, called me an asshole, and hung up. She's currently not speaking to me. My husband supports my decision, but I feel bad for losing my temper at her. Am I the asshole? You have been a supportive friend to Jill and her family for a long time, even helping them financially when they needed it. However, you are not obligated to continuously give her money or enable her financial irresponsibility. You have your own responsibilities and goals, including saving for your retirement and a vacation with your husband. Jill's reaction when you declined to give her more money was inappropriate. It is not fair for her to demand more help from you when she does not prioritize her own financial stability. It was reasonable for you to express your frustration about her desire to have another child while struggling to care for the one she already has. You offered to buy her groceries, showing that you are still willing to help in a more practical way. It is unfortunate that Jill responded by insulting you and hanging up. You should not feel guilty for standing up for yourself and setting boundaries. You deserve to prioritize your own financial security and well-being. It is important to note that while you may have struck a nerve, it seems necessary in order to establish clear boundaries. It is ultimately Jill's responsibility to take control of her own financial situation and make better choices. Would I be the antagonist for telling my mother-in-law her Christmas gift feels like a slap in the face after what she offered originally? I'm seeking advice because I genuinely love my in-laws, and they have been very supportive. But a recent situation has really upset me. To provide some context, we had planned a Christmas holiday in Jamaica, but it was canceled due to my father-in-law, FIL, having a heart attack and undergoing open heart surgery earlier this month. We understood and canceled the trip. However, after the cancellation, we discussed alternative Christmas plans. Personally, I would have been happy just spending time with them and didn't necessarily need a gift. However, they generously offered each of us a substantial amount of money for the holidays, more than my monthly income. This was exciting for me and my husband because we have been dealing with some financial difficulties, and this money would have helped us get back on track. I expected to receive this money for about 2 weeks. However, I recently found out that my sister-in-law, and her boyfriend want to join my in-laws on their holiday to Italy in the summer. Since my sister-in-law can afford to pay for her own flights and food, my in-laws will cover the accommodation as their Christmas gift. As a result, my husband and I will now receive a prepaid weekend getaway instead of the original sum of money. Personally, I don't even want this weekend getaway, and it feels like a significant letdown. Additionally, the cost of this weekend getaway is over $1,000 cheaper than what we were initially offered. A big part of my frustration comes from the fact that we are the least well-off in my husband's family. My sister-in-law earns more in a single paycheck than I do in a month, and as military personnel, they have lower monthly bills. It bothers me that my in-laws offered us so much money only to take it away. They don't realize how much we could have used that money to improve our financial situation, and it's incredibly infuriating. Furthermore, I have always disliked the holidays with my in-laws because we can't afford the extravagant gifts that everyone else in the family gives. I want to express to my in-laws that offering such a generous sum of money only to take it away is hurtful and inconsiderate. It feels like they don't understand our financial struggles. I would approach this conversation calmly and composed, but I genuinely want to convey how upsetting their actions have been. Would it be wrong of me to address this issue? You would not be the asshole for feeling hurt and frustrated in this situation. It is understandable that you were excited about the large sum of money initially offered by your in-laws, as it could have helped improve your financial situation. However, it is also important to consider that circumstances changed, and your in-laws made a decision based on those changes. Instead of approaching the situation with anger or accusing them of being rude, it may be more productive to have a calm and honest conversation with your in-laws about your financial concerns. Express how their initial offer gave you hope and how the change in plans has affected you negatively. They may not have realized the impact of their decision on your situation. It is also important to remember that your in-laws may not fully understand your financial struggles, as they come from a different financial background. Having an open and honest conversation can help bridge this gap and create understanding. Changing the tone from anger to vulnerability and openness may lead to a more productive and positive outcome.